Hello, everyone. I'm really energized to be here. A decade ago, I was at a meeting of similar kind of people who were thinking about the financial system. And a decade ago, 10 years ago, this was really at the epicenter of the financial crisis. Things were tumbling down left, right, and center. There was a real crisis, not just a crisis in the economy, but a crisis of thinking, of economic thought. And I met a very eminent professor who studied and thought deeply about the ecology of money. And he said, what needs to happen is we need a new global currency based upon scarce resources like carbon and a global governance to be able to usher in this new form of money. And I was thinking, wow, this is quite challenging. It's quite a big thought. Well, I was midway through my career at Triodos Bank and seeing, despite the chaos of the banking system around us all, lots of really positive new things flourishing in renewable energy, in organic farming, in fair trade, in social enterprise. Entrepreneurs with amazing ideas to do things which were helping society, really starting to kind of come to fruition and thinking, well, they're not waiting for a new currency or a new global governance. So what's happening there? The whole money creation story, and others were sort of thinking, well, it's all around the private banks creating money, and we have a situation today where through government, central banks, the European Central Bank has made so much money, we're awash with money, and yet still some of the problems aren't going away. So something funny is happening. There's some gap there that isn't being solved just by the existence of money. And if you take the technology promise at the moment, you see that there are new technologies, fintech, financial technology, where looking 10 years ahead, the next decade, they say technology will solve everything. Banking will be transformed and disrupted. The banks and banking as we know it now will be over. And they're probably right. But what does it mean? When you listen in to the financial technology and a lot of the new payment apps and services and even currencies, the high priest of technology will say, we've been able to solve finance. That's when the penny drops. What is the problem we are trying to solve? Because for the last 10 years, since the financial crisis, finance has been preoccupied by solving the problems of finance. Whereas finance was only ever invented, money as a social invention way back in Mesopotamian times, was only ever invented to solve everything else, to help us to relate as human beings and to create patterns of existence which was helpful for us to live. It wasn't about the money, it was about us. Somewhere along the lines, the fragility of our relationships with each other and what we were trying to encourage each other to do for one another broke down. And the fragility in relationship became translated into the power that money had. So we needed to protect the money. We need to save the money, to save the banks, because it's the money which is going to keep us safe and cared for and protected and fed and clothed and have enough energy and all of those things. Whereas actually, that's not right. Money is a creation in order to serve the needs of people in relationship to one another, because it's only through relationship that we keep ourselves safe and cared for and protected and with meaning livelihood. So what is it that are now the societal needs? What is it that finance needs to solve? Well, it's not about the underlying, the rule base. It's not necessarily the tokens, the money itself. or the tools, the products, or the technology. For sure, the tools and the tokens and the technology can be helpful or unhelpful in being able to get to an end, but they're not the end, they're just a means. The ends that we need to look at are, well, we have a climate crisis, we're at peak resources in environmental limits, we have inequality across our societies, and as Thomas Friedman noted in his new book, that when he asked the Surgeon General of the United States, what is the biggest disease currently affecting America? The response was, well, it's not cancer, it's not heart disease, it's isolation. In a world of technological advancement, we're more connected than ever before, that we are somehow isolated. This kind of notion that technology can provide certain tools, but unless we can find different ways of becoming in relation with one another, then nothing really changes. And my key message in terms of money and transforming money, for those who might be tempted to over-complexify, to overthink this, is that at a fundamental level, where there may be some very useful tokens and tools and technology which might support us on our journey, nothing changes about money until we change our relationship with money and by extension with each other. Nothing fundamentally changes. For sure, technology can make things go faster. The interesting thing about algorithmic predictability, I'm a mathematician, so algorithms are kind of written to make things more predictable. They can absorb all this data and they can come up with a result. But they can take the old data, what has gone already, and come up with the answer, which is the old answer, much faster. The global challenges we have today, and the sustainable development goals, the issues that society faces in inequality, these need new solutions. They need innovations. They need entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurs like yourselves, who need new answers, new creativity, new thoughts. And that comes from a different place. So we are trying to bridge two worlds here. We have one world, which is the world where most of the rules are currently coming from, which is the familiar world of what has for the last couple of centuries been capitalism. It's been based on individualism, it's been based upon market economy, and on competition, competitive forces. And we're moving into a world of global interdependency, of collaboration. Whereas here, you have a zero-sum gain. What is mine is mine, what is yours is yours. If you transfer it, it's now mine and it's not yours. Whereas over here, in the knowledge economy and the sharing economy, if I share my knowledge with you, my knowledge isn't depleted. It is win-win. We can build things. The irony is that in this old world, it feels like society is limited and we can only trade and exchange in this limited frame. However, the planet, it's as if it's never-ending, and we can just keep on maximizing production and extract. Whereas in this new world, we sense that we have no limitations in terms of what we can co-create as society, but we must treat the planet as a precious, finite resource and use it creatively in a more circular way. So we're straddling at the moment as a community of entrepreneurs and financiers trying to bring about this new economy, these two worlds. And that's always going to be an amazing tension. We in Triodos Bank and in other values-based banks and the Global Alliance for Banking on Values and others throughout the world on every continent are trying very hard to find the people whose ideas and purpose and meaning is motivated by these new sets of relationships, by these new things in the world. However, needing to make it right, being able to manage the stretch of being able to exist in today's world, the world which is in the material world. Because if we were to just shift to the other planet, that feels like, well, then you're just dreamers, and then it doesn't quite work. So you need, at this moment, to be able to make something in this real economy, to be able to straddle these two worlds, to take from this place of purpose something which extends to our current rule system and the way that people transact in today's world. But we're trying to do more. So beyond just financing the change within Triodos, we have this new ecology of experiments and innovations that we are trying to push forward within finance. If finance and money's relationship is about building new patterns, it's just about making different promises and arranging things so that things can be organized differently in society, then it's ultimately around behavioral change. So there's initiatives here in Spain which are trying to mobilize people to do some community-based crowdfunding based on organic gardens in schools, and being able to look at how we consume to be able to help people develop more sustainable behaviors in terms of their consumption patterns, and being able to connect people in different ways. So here in Malaga, which is already quite a thriving hub for social economy and new economy thinking, the office is transforming itself into more of a meeting place and a hub, a way of bringing together different people in the community to co-create. Now, if this doesn't sound like banking, well, maybe it isn't the banking which isn't going to be here in 10 years' time. Maybe this is the new banking. Maybe being able to connect people with interesting resources and skills with people who've got needs, and finding out the way to practically do that is, in fact, the new banking. Having this crossover of sustainability, where we can connect people doing energy efficiency into the built environment. We can bring organic food producers into healthcare facilities. We can bring artists and other creators into care facilities. We can be able to interweave the different elements of social and environmental sustainability to create this new economy. And we can bring a kind of scale to that which transcends the old money systems. If you think about what's come into the world in recent years, such as Wikipedia, or how universities now offer courses online, these are massive transitions where it's actually being made and supported by individuals making a contribution in a voluntary way because it's something they care about. And that's a key characteristic of this more global interdependency, collaborative economy. And that's something which we are trying to stimulate, while still being in this tension across these two worlds. And from our strategy as Triodos Bank, and I lead strategy for the bank, we're not trying to use the same strategies which were used in the past of, well, why don't you just become really big and take over and become all the biggest bank in the world, Triodos? Because that's the old model of thinking. The new model is, how can we bring our ideas, our recipes, our learning, our shared knowledge to be able to inspire and co-create and to bring more ideas to us and to, within networks, bring solutions. And that can also happen beyond our geographical status through the Global Alliance and through other partnerships with other networks. So, taking a step back, we have an opportunity to bridge this gap, but it requires a fundamentally different mindset to stop considering the complexity of the tools and the tokens of money from being the barrier to action. We had a very wise man, a tribal elder from Greenland called Angang Nak, come to the bank to talk about his perspectives on the world. And he said that the biggest barriers between us as people don't exist because of geography, they exist in our minds. And for us, the degree to which we keep money as something which can be a barrier to be able to fix the money first, to follow the money, we stop ourselves from the creativity which is required to bring about these new connections, to bring about this new economy. And if each one of us can work upon our own initiatives in that connected form, then we will bring about the kind of structures and processes and patterns of behaviors which we need that will become the new money, that will become the new economy. So my challenge to you is to put all of your creative effort into these new ventures. And rather than following the money, the new economy, and the new financial system will follow you. Thank you very much.